You've seen beauty, you've seen talent, but have you ever come across people who seem like they're from another world? From living mermaids to individuals with near superhuman traits, each person you're about to see is unforgettable. Some were born different. Some chose to be different to earn fame and recognition. But one thing is certain, every single one of them is extraordinary in their own way. Let's start this list with 15. Colin White. Some people turn limitations into excuses. Colin White turned his into a legend. Born with a condition that left him without fully developed arms or legs, he never asked for sympathy and never needed it. While most were still figuring out life, Colin was mastering two worlds: music and gaming. He raps with a sharp, confident cadence. He dominates Warzone and Escape from Tarkov with reflexes sharper than most. They call him Nubs, short for normally underestimated by sight. But anyone who's faced him online knows he plays at a level few can touch. His setup in Arizona isn't a gimmick. It's a battle station built on adaptation. But beyond the skills and stats is a man who never waited for permission to live fully. He built a space where talent speaks louder than appearances. Colin doesn't just surprise people, he forces them to rethink what's possible. In a world quick to judge by sight, he's proof that impact comes from everything you can't see. 14. Caitlin Dobrow. When Caitlin Dobrow got sick at 18, her world shattered. Bacterial meningitis left her with amputations on all four limbs and severe skin loss. It could have been the end, but she made it a beginning. So makeup became more than routine. It was recovery, expression, and control in a life that had lost so much. Using prosthetics and fierce patience, she taught herself how to create beauty again, not just on her face, but in her space, her voice, and her story. Today, she's a force. Her YouTube channel draws hundreds of thousands. Her words carry weight across social media. But more than views or follows, Caitlin stands as a reminder that identity doesn't vanish in crisis, it evolves. She never asked to be inspirational. She simply refused to disappear. And that refusal reshaped everything. Caitlin didn't return to who she was. She became someone the world hadn't seen yet, and now they can't stop watching. 13. Anthony has lived longer than doctors thought possible. Born with multiple pterygium syndrome, his early prognosis was grim. But decades later, he's still here, breathing, thinking, living on his terms. His body doesn't follow conventional patterns. He uses a wheelchair, requires oxygen, and has a fused spine. But his life isn't about the diagnosis. He went to college, got married, experienced heartbreak, and found comfort in quiet routines. He cheers for his favorite teams. He walks his dog. He prefers peace to spectacle. Growing up, he was often left out, not because people were cruel, but because they didn't know how to include someone like him. That memory stayed. So did his mother, whom he calls his greatest constant. Anthony doesn't call himself a miracle. He doesn't chase attention or try to prove resilience. But the way he exists, calm, present, steady, is its own kind of extraordinary. In a world obsessed with noise, his quiet strength says more than most words ever could. 12. Kanya Sesser. Kanya Sesser's life didn't begin gently. Left at a temple in Thailand as a newborn, born without legs, her future could have disappeared into silence. But instead, it roared to life. Adopted into a new home, Kanya didn't just adapt, she charged forward. As a teenager, she stepped into modeling, refusing to let missing limbs define what beauty meant. She showed up in lingerie not for attention, but to show the world what comfort in your own skin actually looks like. Off the runway, she's an athlete. She surfs, skateboards, and races with a fire that doesn't dim. Her motto, no legs, no limits, isn't branding. It's the truth lived every day. Kanya doesn't try to inspire. She moves, competes, speaks, and shares, never toning herself down. She doesn't need fixing, and she never did. What she built isn't a career, it's a declaration. Kanya reminds us that some people don't just challenge expectations, they exist outside them and show others how to do the same. 11. Julia. Julia came into the world with a body that challenged every assumption. Born with a condition that deformed her hands and limited mobility, She spent her early years in hospitals, undergoing 21 surgeries before age 6. At 18, sepsis forced the amputation of both legs, but none of it broke her spirit. Julia built a life that doesn't ask for pity and never plays by conventional roles. She runs her own fashion boutique, raises a child, and moves through her day with purpose. Sometimes walking with prosthetics, sometimes crawling, sometimes rolling, but always forward. Her photos online aren't polished performances. They're moments captured as they are, real, imperfect, proud. Her husband Dennis stands beside her not as support, but as her equal. Julia's strength isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It shows up in daily choices, in love that endures, and in beauty that's not measured by symmetry, but by presence. She isn't surviving. She's living, fully, fiercely, and on her own terms. 10. Leah Woodard. Leah Woodard doesn't just stretch, she transforms. Born in Santa Barbara, her body moved differently from the start. By 6, she was bending in ways that didn't look real. Her movements had flow, control, and something else. Grace you couldn't explain. She joined Le Petit Cirque, mastered aerial silks and contortion, and even learned to shoot arrows with her feet. She wasn't playing, she was creating. At 11, she performed at the Nobel Peace Prize concert in Norway, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Television shows followed, so did a growing audience. But Leah never moved for attention. She moved because her body asked her to. What makes her extraordinary isn't just flexibility. It's how she balances power with softness. She's not trying to impress. She exists in motion, and when she moves, the world pays attention. Her presence feels unreal, but it's all hers. No spotlight invented it. She carries it with every step, twist, and breath. 9. Craig Lewis. Craig Lewis shouldn't have survived. His heart was failing, his organs shutting down, and doctors had no time left. But science made room. At the Texas Heart Institute, surgeons replaced his dying heart with a device powered by turbines. No beat, no rhythm, no pulse, just flow. Where his blood moved, but without a heartbeat. And yet Craig spoke, sat up, breathed. The silence inside his chest wasn't an absence. It was something new. He became the first person to live with a machine instead of a heart, even if only briefly. His story doesn't need embellishment. It already feels unreal. What he proved is simple but staggering. Life isn't defined by sound. The body doesn't need to follow rules. Craig wasn't chasing miracles. He was holding on to life in a form no one had imagined before. And for a moment it worked. That moment changed everything. Not because it lasted, but because it showed that even without a heartbeat, a person can still be alive. 8. Navia Navia's life doesn't follow a timeline. She was born at 26 weeks too soon, too fragile, yet fully here. She lives with cerebral palsy, epilepsy, quadriplegia, and chronic lung disease. She cannot speak or walk, but her presence fills every room she enters. Her laughter is clear, her gaze direct, her spirit undeniable. She responds with her eyes, her smile, the tilt of her head. Nothing is wasted. Her mother, Shanta, does everything: feeding, lifting, caring, loving. Not once a day, but every minute. It's not the effort that breaks her, it's quiet, the way people stop seeing. Navia doesn't need answers or admiration. She needs to be met where she is. She belongs in a world that often moves too fast to notice her. But if you pause, you'll see what she brings. She doesn't speak, but she says more than most people ever will. She reminds us that being alive isn't about milestones, it's about presence. 7. Tara Jane McCanachy. Tara Jane McCanachy looks like someone designed in a dream, or maybe a cartoon. But this version of her didn't come from imagination. She built it. A nurse from Melbourne, she spent over $250,000 altering her body to become what she calls her perfect self. Not the world's idea of beauty, hers. Multiple breast augmentations, nose surgeries, lip work, sculpting. It's all by choice. She appeared on Botched, asking for more, even as surgeons warned her to stop. But Tara wasn't looking for advice. Her body is her own canvas. Some people criticize, some stare, but she doesn't ask anyone to understand. Her transformation isn't about approval, it's about ownership. She doesn't pretend her look is natural. That's the point. It's a deliberate rebellion against everything ordinary. Love it or not, you can't ignore it. Tara isn't chasing fame. She's living as someone who never wanted to blend in. She wanted to be seen, and she made sure that she was. 6. Sarah Gertz. Sarah Gertz looks older than she is. Her skin folds, stretches, and wrinkles in ways people don't expect from someone so young. It's because of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, a condition that affects collagen. She was diagnosed at 10. For a while, she tried to hide, covering mirrors, dressing to disappear. But hiding took more energy than honesty. Eventually, she stopped chasing smoothness. She started showing what was already there. She became a model not because someone discovered her, but because she chose visibility over silence. Her photos don't rely on angles or filters. They focus on texture, honesty, and reality. Her skin, once something she feared, became part of her voice. She speaks about beauty with the kind of clarity that makes people listen. Sarah's not here to inspire. She's here because she belongs. And in a world that edits every flaw, her presence feels almost unreal. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real, and it doesn't ask permission to be seen. 5. Connie Chiu. Connie Chiu was born with albinism in Hong Kong, where sunlight wasn't just harsh, it was dangerous. Her skin couldn't tolerate it, and her family made the decision to move to Sweden so she could live without fear of the sun. That change gave her room to grow. She later entered the fashion world not through agencies or campaigns, but through a single photo, one that caught the attention of Jean-Paul Gaultier. He invited her to walk in his show, and from that moment, the runway became her place. She didn't blend in, and she never tried to. Connie became the world's first fashion model with albinism, opening doors where none existed. Today, she performs jazz across Europe, bringing the same quiet confidence to music that she once brought to the catwalk. Her presence is calm but unshakable. In a world built on repetition, Connie didn't fit the mold. She became something entirely outside it, and completely unforgettable. 4. Gabby Schull. Gabby Schull learned to dance before she could tie her shoes. From ballet to jazz, her body moved with ease, until a rare form of bone cancer forced doctors to remove her knee at just 9 years old. They reattached her lower leg backwards so her ankle could work as a joint. The surgery was extreme. The recovery was relentless. But Gabby didn't stop. With a custom prosthetic, she stepped back into the studio. One movement at a time. Ballet returned, so did jazz, then hip-hop. Her body had changed, but her rhythm never left. Dance wasn't just what she did, it was how she survived. Off the stage, she began sharing her story with honesty, showing others that limitation doesn't mean the end of joy. Her movements aren't about defiance, they're about presence. Gabby never danced to prove anything. She danced because it still belonged to her. And in doing so, she reminded others that nothing beautiful has to be perfect. 3. Aven Duga. Aven Dugas grew up being told her hair was too much, too thick, too wild, too different. For years, she tried to tame it. Relaxers, straighteners, anything to fit the image others expected. In 1999, she stopped. She let it grow naturally on her terms. What followed wasn't just growth, it was power. Her afro reached over 5 feet in circumference and earned her a Guinness World Record. But that number meant little compared to what it stood for. Her hair became a symbol of pride, heritage, and self-respect. She styles it herself, maintains it herself, and wears it the way it was meant to be, free, full, and rooted in truth. Aven didn't grow her afro for attention. She grew it because it was hers. And in doing so, she gave permission for others to take up space they were once told to shrink. Her story isn't about volume, it's about ownership. And there's nothing more powerful than that. 2. Matthew Nagel. Matthew Nagel couldn't move his body, but he changed the way the world thinks about control. After a spinal injury left him paralyzed from the neck down, he became part of a medical trial testing a brain-computer interface. A chip was placed in his motor cortex, translating thought into action. With no movement at all, Matthew moved a cursor, opened emails, and played simple games, using only his mind. It wasn't a miracle. It was clarity and courage. He didn't just prove the technology worked. He proved that even when the body is still, the mind can reach outward. Though he passed away in 2007, his contribution remains one of the most significant breakthroughs in neuroscience. Matthew didn't become an icon by choice. He simply showed what was possible. In silence, he created movement. In limitation, he revealed something limitless. His legacy isn't about what he lost. It's about what he helped others find. A way forward. 1. Gi-yeon Woo. Gi-yeon Woo didn't grow up strong. She built it from the inside out. As a teenager in South Korea, she struggled with depression, rarely spoke, and spent more time hiding than living. At 26, she walked into a gym and discovered something waiting for her: discipline, repetition, and change. Lifting became a language. Her body grew powerful, but so did her confidence. She entered her first competition, then another. In 2013, she won gold at the Arnold Classic Europe, becoming the first South Korean woman to earn an IFBB Pro card. Her country called her Muscle Barbie, but the title missed the point. Gi wasn't chasing anyone's idea of strength. She was building her own. After retiring, she began training others. People like her, looking for something real. Gi never asked to stand out. She just stopped trying to disappear. And in doing so, she showed that strength isn't about how you look. It's about what you survive and how you rise from it. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll catch you later.